All right, guys, welcome to day 2 of boot camp. My name is Monica Perry, and I am your Market Center Tech Trainer if you were in the Winston-Salem, Greensboro, or Chapel Hill Market Centers. And I'm so excited that you're here today. As always, this is your time. So if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, type your questions in the chat, or just unmute yourself and ask. You can also raise your digital hand. So we're looking at day 2 today. We're going to break class into 2 pieces. So in the first half of this morning's class, we are going to be going over the Opportunities Applet in Command. So the Opportunities Applet is what houses all of our transactions, but it does a whole lot more than that. It's taken some pieces from other transaction management software and integrated it all into one spot, which is really, really great. One thing I always like to tell you guys about Command, I know it is a big system. It is intentionally a big system so that we have everything housed under one umbrella and we own all of that data. The only things that you as a KW agent have to use Command for is your opportunities. And that is because this is where our compliance officers check your paperwork to make sure everything you're doing is legit and that we've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. And our wonderful MCAs, always be nice to them because they pay us, our Market Center administrators. This is where they see your request to get paid your commission, okay? So opportunities is really the only piece that you have to do. Now, as we discussed yesterday, you have to enter your contact before you can create your opportunity. So essentially, contacts and opportunities are the only applets that you have to use in Command, and that is just so that we can get you paid, okay? So today is pretty important. So if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you pay attention to today. So I'm gonna drop your resources document as I did yesterday down into the chat. I also wanted to draw your attention to, on both of your resource websites, kwtriadtech.com for Winston-Salem and Greensboro, kwtriangletech.com for my Chapel Hill folks. If you go to those websites, over on the left, I have now updated this month's boot camp. So you can now click to go to the videos. It will take you straight into the YouTube playlist. It's over on the left-hand side of the screen. Today's class will go up by 5 o'clock today. And you can also click now for the resources that I'm sharing to you in the chat. So if you lose those or whatever, just remember, if you click on them in the chat, it will add them into your Google Drive. And on the subject of Google Drives, if you didn't know, I know not everybody uses their Keller Williams email addresses, and that's totally okay. But what I do want you to know is that with your Keller Williams email addresses, you get the business level of Google, the whole Google suite. So you have unlimited Google Drive storage. So if you'll see over here on the left-hand side of my screen, it says I'm using 162.38 gigabytes, and there's no limit there. As opposed to if I'm in my personal Google, I'm actually paying for storage there because I've had it for so long. You can see I have actually a limit there, a big limit, but that's because I'm paying for that limit. So just make sure that you utilize what's given to you included with your monthly cost. So do we have any questions on Google Chrome or any of that, Google Drive? I just wanted to let you guys know that that exists. Pretty good? Cool deal. So in the first half of today, we're going to look at creating opportunities, the whole applet, and some of the things that you can do in there. We're going to check out, this is essentially a workflow, right? Companies spend millions of dollars on workflows each year, and that's essentially what this is. So it's best to stay on the workflow in order to get paid as quickly as possible. We're going to take a look at the ability to create opportunities on the go with the Command app. We're going to go over the dashboard of opportunities and some of the really cool things like the checklist and client updates that we have in there. And in the second half of the class, we're going to actually implement the workflow. So I know that I have some agents that use dot loop. I'm not teaching dot loop in BootCamp. I'm teaching Docusign because that's what's provided to us by Keller Williams. Okay. So in the second half of the class, we're actually going to do a transaction and go through that workflow, including Docusign. So we're going to look at the whole workflow in the beginning of the class, but we're going to leave out the e-signature portion. And then the second half of the class, we're going to pull in the Docusign portion of that. So that way, if you aren't using Docusign, you don't have to stick around for the second half of the class. Okay, everybody cool? Awesome. All right. So we're going to sign into command. Again, that is agent.kw.com. Agent.kw.com. Always best to bookmark that for yourself. Yesterday, we looked at adding contacts, right? So I wanted to show you from your contact, you can actually create an opportunity from the contact card. So that is a possibility. So we're going to use Mr. Dakota. For those of you that weren't with us yesterday, Dakota is my Chihuahua Yorkie. He is asleep next to us on the floor, and today is his 3rd birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. Dakota. He is one of my test subjects, and here is his contact card. So you're going to see over here on the right-hand side where we have our timeline. We also have our opportunities and the smart plans that we looked at yesterday, task notes and saved searches. So we're going to open up this opportunities section, and you're going to see right here the ability to create an opportunity for Dakota. Okay, so this is one way that you can create your opportunity. You see it's already got Dakota in as the client. I'm going to choose if he's a listing, a buyer, a landlord, or a tenant, and I'm going to go through and complete this section. Okay. Before we go into this, I always like to mention teams. Again, we are not heavily focusing on teams in bootcamp training because it's the broad overview of command. And if you are on a team, and that includes productivity coaching, okay? So listen up if that's you. Dakota is currently on my personal side of command. And the way that we know this is right here where it says account, it says that we are in the Monica Perry account. Okay, we are in the Monica Perry personal account. I showed you guys yesterday where you can toggle back and forth between your personal and team accounts. If I need to create this opportunity on my team, I need to move the contact to my team. So I always like to mention best practices, right? Of course, we hope that you're always going to stay with your team and that you guys are going to go together and it's going to be wonderful. And we know the realization that that's not always going to be the case, number one. Number two, if you're in productivity coaching, you're going to graduate from productivity coaching. So what you want to do is you want to best practice, add your contacts to your personal command account. Then when that contact decides that they are ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, we are going to move the contact to our team. And I'm going to show you why that's so important. In order to move the contact to my team, I'm in my contact card. I'm going to click my 3 dots and click change account. Okay, now I can move the contact to the team, the elite helpers. Okay, that's my team. It's a fake team, but it works just the same. And then I would confirm with the teal button that says change account. Okay, now I'm going to move into my team contacts so you can see the difference, right? So when we were looking at Dakota, it said that he was in Monica Perry's account. I'm just going to open any team contact so you can see. Let me do like a test contact. Hold on one sec. Let me find a good one. Here we go. So you can see this one, the account says the elite helpers, which is my team. I'm the owner of the contact and I am the assignee for the contact and transactions affiliated with the contact. Anthony, that is a wonderful question. No, everyone is not able to see your contact when you move it to the team. The rainmaker of your team and your productivity coach have the ability to set different permissions, if you will, for everyone on the team. So normally administrative assistants, executive assistants, director of operations, and the rainmaker have unlimited or enhanced permissions. So they can see your contacts, but they can't edit the contact. They can't change anything about the contact. They cannot delete the contact. Okay. That's why it's important to start in your personal account and then move it to the team, because you see, I've maintained ownership of this contact, as opposed to this first test that I opened up. If you create it under your team, it creates it under the right account. However, look at the ownership. It made the ownership the team instead of you personally. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're starting with our personal contacts. So we want to be in your personal account, add our contact, talk with our contacts, do all the things that we're supposed to be doing. And then that contact decides to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. We move the contact to the team. Okay. So I wanted to make sure that I make that clear. Write it down, remember it, because it causes a lot of confusion sometimes when people are first getting started. And now I'm going to move into the opportunities handshake to show you guys. So again, you can create the opportunity from the contact. I personally like to go to the pipelines to this handshake here and create the opportunity right from here. So I want to show you something. Right now, it's creating the opportunity on my team. So if I try to type Dakota's name, Dakota's in my personal account, it says there are no options, right? There are no options because he is not on my team account, right? Only my team contacts are showing up on my team account. So if my team is selected, the client needs to be on the team side of command. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I touched on that with everybody. Everybody good? Are there any more questions besides Anthony's? Good, good, good. Double checking. Okay, cool. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm just going to work under my personal account and we're just going to leave it at that. Okay. So from here, this is our opportunities applet. Okay. When we start the opportunity, we start it in the team account. More than likely, Anthony, most teams, if you don't create it under the team opportunity pipeline, the production doesn't run through the team, and that's what we need it to do. So most rainmakers have just turned off the ability for you to create an opportunity under your personal pipeline. But that's where people come into confusion, because you can see up here I have two pipelines, my team and my personal. That's because I'm the leader of this team. If you're an individual agent and your rainmaker has this turned off, you won't see yourself, right? If you were to ever leave the team, then your personal pipeline would open up, okay? So more than likely, it's going to default to the team. So if you're 100% sure that you added your contact already, and then you try to create that opportunity and it's not finding the contact, just remember you have to move the contact to the team. That's what's causing that. Great questions. Great questions. And this is including productivity coaching. If you're in productivity coaching, you're going to see a pipeline that's called Pro Coach, whatever your market center number is. So Winston-Salem Pro Coach 994, right? Greensboro 509 and Chapel Hill 685. Okay. Fantastic questions. Good deal. All right, cool. So on our opportunities dashboard here, our green pipeline is our listing pipeline. Okay. Our orange pipeline is for buyers. Purple is for those of us wild and crazy enough to manage leases, right? If you're in some kind of property management, you have a purple pipeline down there for you, okay? On the right-hand side of each of these pipelines, you can see your potential income and your probable income. So your potential income is if every opportunity in this pipeline closed and closed for 100% of what it was listed for, that is how much money you would stand to make. Probable income is adjusted based on each stage's probability to close, okay? So when they're in cultivate, which means, yeah, I think I do want to buy a new house and my son's graduating from high school. I've got to make sure I get him off to college in the fall. Then we don't need this 5-bedroom house. So then we're going to want to downsize, but we probably can't do anything until like September. Okay. Then you're cultivating that deal. They're not ready yet. They're going to be ready soon. We're going to continue to stay in touch with them, grow that relationship, maybe give them some tips and tricks on things to do to get ready to sell their home, but we're not actually transacting today. That's the cultivate phase. Then when they're like, okay, it is the middle of August, we've taken him to school, all of his stuff's gone from the house, we've been boxing up the stuff like you told us to, I think we're getting closer. Then you're going to set an appointment with that person to give the listing presentation, to get the listing documents signed. You're going to move them into the appointment phase, okay? And then your probability is going to go up some to get that property sold. Once they sign their listing agreement, we're going to move them into being an active client. Again, that is going to increase the probability of this transaction closing, okay? Then once it goes under contract, obviously it's going to increase again. And then once it gets into the closed phase, then we know it's closed and it's 100% probability that we're going to make the money off of it. And we will have already made any adjustments if we had to adjust the price or something of that nature. So 5 phases of the transaction. These phases, this whole platform was built on agents' ideas, KW agents' ideas, through what we call the labs process. So these 5 phases are the phases that agents said we need for every transaction, okay? However, what they could not agree on was what happens in each one of these phases, okay? So under each of the 5 phases, we have the ability to add stages, okay? So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to open up listings cultivate. So I'm on my listing pipeline and I've opened up cultivate. So these are all of the listings that I have cultivating right now, okay? You can see I have 3 stages under cultivate. I'm watching them. That's what we just discussed. Son's leaving for college. We have to get that done. So I'm monitoring their Facebook. I'm reaching out to them periodically, maybe sending them some information along the way. Once I start doing all those things, I'm nurturing that transaction, okay? So then I can move it. I picked up the card and moved it into nurture. Now note these little boxes in the corner. These little boxes are checklists that I have set up for myself under each one of these different stages, okay? Now, if you're like, I don't need all of this under cultivate, I just need one while I'm talking to them, that's all I need. This is where you have the ability to fully customize your experience to yourself. Maybe you need an additional stage, okay? Up at the top, we have a button that's called Edit Stages. So we can click this open. We can move this around. These are just bells and whistles, guys. This is nothing that you absolutely 100% have to do. Again, I only like to show you what you can do. It doesn't mean you have to use every piece. Okay. Some agents just enter their contact's name and email address, create the opportunity so that they can turn in their paperwork, and that's all they do. And that is okay. We're independent contractors, right? And if you want to use the system, I want to make sure that you know how you can. So now that I've clicked that Edit Stages button, I've got my stages showing up here on the screen. Watch, nurture, ready to sell. I edited this one, okay? I think originally it was hot, like they're a hot lead now, okay? Under each one of those, I have a checklist. So when I'm cultivating under the watch stage, I need to get their phone number, their email address, friend them on social media, add their home address and or their desired location where they're going to move when they sell their home to their command contact card. I want to drive by the house, get an idea of what it looks like, maybe grab a front exterior with my cell phone just so I have an idea. And maybe I want to go ahead and put them on a monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan. Okay, so these are my checklist items for a person that is looking to sell and they're in my cultivate phase under the watch stage. Same thing with nurturing. Maybe I'm going to make sure that they know my Twilio number if I'm using it. If I haven't added them to the monthly neighborhood nurture, I want to remember to go ahead and do that. Continue to monitor their social media, like and comment on their posts to keep that relationship growing. Call them periodically to check in. Add them to any email campaigns I might be running that month. And send a thank you note. If this was a referral that came to me from another agent, maybe I want to send a thank you note to that referral. Okay. So again, you don't have to use these. I'm a person of checklists. I'm a person that's been in real estate since 2008. So I used to have paper checklists stapled on top of my folders, right? Physical folders. And I would check stuff off as I went down. This is what I've used to replace that. You can use it, you cannot use it. It's completely up to you. So you can see same thing under appointment. I'm getting prepared and scheduling the appointment. I'm going on the listing appointment. The listing appointment was held, is kept. And again, under each one of these, I have checklist. Okay. So you can see this one in particular, I have kept it. And if you'll notice, I have client updates turned on. That means anything that is checked as a client update, right? Maybe I want to let them know that I put the lockbox at their house. And I have that checked off as a client update. When I check off that I did that, it is going to email that client at the end of the day and say your lockbox was placed at your home, right? So that's what the client update buttons mean, because I get that question a lot. In order for you to set a due date for any of these checklist items, when I'm editing stages, these checklists are going to apply to any and every opportunity that goes into that phase and stage. Okay, so if it gets dropped there, I'm going to take this one for example, right? Here's this Dakota Perry listing. I'm going to drop him into listing appointment. Notice right now it says he has 0 of 7 items checked off on this preparation and scheduling. If I drop him into listing appointment, that checklist just changed to 4 items. Okay. And that's because it's for this one particular opportunity for which I can now set a due date. Maybe I need to do that by this afternoon at 2:25 p.m. and click OK. Now I have a task that is set for me to make sure that I do that at 2:25 p.m. today. So just wanted to touch on that quickly. We don't have time to go super deep into it, but I get questions about what all those buttons mean. That is what they are. They're checklists. So on here, I gave you guys my checklist. Okay. My checklist. I think I did. Hold on. Let me look. I thought I dropped them in there. If I didn't yet, I will get that dropped in there. Oh yeah, I did right here. So the way that I created my checklist, I got this spreadsheet from someone else, but he was from Texas. So Texas and North Carolina law is different. So I tried to go through in North Carolina, everything up in here on this checklist. Okay. So this is one of the times, and you'll hear me say this a few times this week. If this is something that you want to use, it's going to take you a little bit of time to set up on the front end, but it's going to save you time in the long run. So get comfy, get your favorite beverage, turn on your favorite music, open up this checklist. Okay. I have a big monitor. Some people do, some people don't. And I have a second monitor, but I just split my big monitor in half like this. And I go, okay, I want to edit these stages. I'm in a listing. This is my listing. Here's my appointment, pre-listing appointment, right? Wherever I am, I'm just going to stick with staging. So here, because it's clear right there, I'm going to click my items, scroll to the bottom, add item, take whatever this item is, copy it, paste it into the checklist, save it. I'm just going to make my way down and copy and paste all the checklist over. I think it took me about, I don't know, an hour and a half to copy all that stuff over. And I just sat here with a good cup of iced coffee and listened to some Frank Sinatra and moved it all over there, right? So completely up to you if you want to use it. I gave you my checklist. Doesn't mean it's going to be exactly what your checklist looks like as you grow. But I did want to give you the opportunity to see that and have it if you want it. So client updates, I wanted to show you that also. If the box is checked for client update, when you check off that you did the task, the client is going to get an email. Okay, so I wanted to show you that email and what it looks like. Let me get this open and let me switch into my client's email here. Pull this back over. So if you're using those client updates, it's going to look like this when your client receives it. It's going to say, we're checking or updates for whatever the property is, client name, we're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of the task completed for your property. We did this today, by your side at every step, Monica. It's got all the little things down there. Okay, all my legalities. So that's what the client update looks like. I wanted to make sure that I showed that to you guys. Cool deal? Any questions? Everybody good? Awesome. If you don't like this board view, I personally like it because I can move my people through like this. If you don't like this board view, you can change to the list view, right? That ability is there. It just breaks down your little stages and phases into a vertical view. Cool. All right. So potential income, probable income, we've looked at that. It's for each pipeline. Down here at the bottom, we have like a summary of that. And then at the very bottom, we have what's closing this month, how much would the commission date, how much would the commission be, and what is the closing date, as well as the cost of the house, right? The list price of the house. Good deal? So that's kind of an overview of the opportunities of Applet. So now that we've looked through it, okay, this is the really important part. I wanted to get the bells and whistles out of the way, the workflow piece. So I'm just going to open the KW Elite Winston-Salem one because that is where my license is hung. So I'm going to open this up. I put this on your sheet for you. A lot of agents find this helpful. This is called the path to get paid. Okay, so this is the workflow for command opportunities. As long as you stay in the workflow, you will be fine. Okay, so we're going to enter the contact into command and nurture them. We've looked at that. We've added our contacts. Remember, I told you guys to try to get to 300. That should be your goal. And I even gave you a list yesterday of people that you might know that you could put in that number of contacts. Okay. So we're going to be talking to those contacts, talking to them. And then when somebody says, I want to buy a house, okay, you're then going to create the opportunity for them. So in order to create the opportunity, you have to have added the contact. If it is a buyer, it's going to default to Dakota Perry -buyer as the opportunity name. If it is your listing, it is also going to default that way, Dakota Perry -listing. And please put the address and the opportunity name, and I'll show you where that goes because it makes it easier for our market center administrators to get you paid. Okay, so you're going to create the opportunity and you're going to go to your documents tab of the opportunity. So this is where we're going to stop for a second. So just remember, enter the contact, create the opportunity, name it, and go to the documents tab. So let's do that. If you're following along, take the time to do it. You can just create a test one. Hopefully you added yourself as a contact yesterday. That was part of your homework and putting some people on smart plans. And you can, if you don't have an actual transaction right now, use yourself that you added as a contact. Okay. So we're going to click create opportunity. We're going to get this little pop-up. If you're in multiple market centers, you will have them to choose from. Most people are not. So your market center will be here. Again, the team, if you're on a team, it's more than likely going to default to be a team opportunity. Now we're going to pick our opportunity type. You guys type in the chat, would you rather see a buyer or a seller? Because in the second half, we'll be going over documents. Anthony says buyer. If Anthony's the only one, it's going to be the buyer. Okay, buyer it is. All right. So we've got our market center, our team if we're on one, our opportunity type is a buyer. When it says owner, that means the owner of the opportunity. So if you're an individual agent, that should be your name. If you are on a team, that should be your rainmaker's name and or your productivity coach, Pro Coach 994 in the box that says owner. Okay. Client. I'm going to start typing Dakota's name. Now, yesterday when we were adding contacts, I showed you guys not to put like a couple or anybody into the same contact card. You create two separate contact cards, but they're connected. This is one of the reasons why. Co-buyer, it knows he's connected to Sasha, right? I didn't have to look for it. So I can choose Sasha without having to search. Any questions so far? We're good? Okay, you see that it defaulted to my buyer one name dash buyer, right? That's where it defaults. If I know that he's making an offer on 123 Main Street, then I can name it Dakota Perry -buyer 123 Main Street. Okay, if I don't know what he's buying yet, I can just leave it at buyer, right? So coming back to the path to get paid, we're naming our opportunity as we need to. Go ahead and close these out. There we go. Okay. Tags. You can use these if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay. Tags that I like to use. What are their motivations? Are they downsizing? Are they moving up? Where did I find them? Were they a Facebook lead? Were they sphere of influence? Were they from my Business Networking International group? First time home buyer, luxury, what year were they buying in? Was it a referral? I also use any of my vendors, right? So like who's the closing attorney? Who's the insurance? Who's the lender? Those are just some of the tags that I use. But again, you don't have to use tags. That's just if you want to do it. So maybe it was a referral and they are a first-time home buyer. Okay, there's the tags. Estimated close date. If I know that this buyer wants to be in by the end of July, maybe I'm aiming for a July 28th closing date. Okay, So we can also give them a time frame, because again, you can create these opportunities if the person's just like, I do want to buy, but it's probably going to be 6 months. You can go ahead and create it and just say that they're looking at a 6-month time frame, but you've got them in your pipeline, right? We're always trying to fill our pipeline up as real estate agents. We don't just need business this month. We need business way out, right? Our activities today show up in our pockets in 90 days. So don't discount going ahead and getting these things going early. Okay. So you can pick a time frame if you want. Budget is one number. It is not a range. So maybe he told me his max is 350. Okay. Then I can put 350 in there. Commission rate is my half of the commission, not total. So for a buyer, I normally expect to get 3% commission. If I don't put the budget in, I have to put the commission rate in because it's got a red star. If I don't put in the budget, this potential and probable income over here on the right-hand side cannot populate. This is what's making it populate. So just like I said yesterday, if you put junk in, you get junk out. So if you're really trying to use this tool at a high level, make sure you're putting in that budget, you're putting in the correct commission rate, right? If you're just using it because you have to use it, that's up to you, okay? But if you want to use it to grow your business, make sure that you put the data in. Any questions so far? Are we good? I can't see you guys. Well, all of you have your cameras off anyway. I couldn't see the screen. There we go. Okay. So then we're at opportunity phase and stage. So we already talked about this. The furthest that you can take this upon creation is active, right? You can't add it in under contract or add it in closed, okay? Then we can choose, maybe I'm having an appointment with this buyer and it's been scheduled and I'm having it tomorrow. Then that's where they need to be, okay? Questions on any of this before I hit create? Nothing in the chat. Okay, create. So if you're following along and you're doing this yourself, you should now be at the details of this opportunity that you just created. Okay. So here's your details. Again, here's more data that you can add if you're really wanting to use this system correctly and track what you're supposed to be tracking. As a real estate agent, you can come in here and you can click this edit pencil. I know that they're very faint. Just know that they're there. There's a little pencil at the corner of each box. Okay. The more data that you put in here, the more data that's going to flow into Docusign and Dotloop if you're using Dotloop. So if I know the property he's going to buy, I'm just going to use my own, then I can go ahead and put it in here. Okay. It's going to fill it in and I'm going to save it. And that's going to take it into Docusign, and it will also take it into Dotloop. The most important thing to remember, whichever of those two systems that you're using, is start in Command first. Don't go to Docusign first and start filling stuff in. You start here first. Same with Dotloop. Start here first. It will save you time over the transaction. Okay. All right. So down here, when was the appointment scheduled? Appointment date, agreement 1, contract date, close date. At the bottom of our opportunities pipeline, it shows us the average number of days that an opportunity spends in a specific stage, so that we know that for our business, right? Most of my people stay in Cultivate for 3 months. Most of my people are active in buyers for 2 months, right? Whatever it is. Okay. So you have to add those dates by clicking the edit button. You can also change your phase and stage from here if you don't like the drag and drop. You can just open up the details, hit the pencil, and say, okay, now they're active and we're out looking at property. Okay. Another important thing, do not leave these in Cultivate because the MCA can't see it. So make sure you at least move them into active. Okay. Any questions? Everybody feeling good? Maybe we had our appointment yesterday. We scheduled it yesterday. We had it this morning. They signed their buyer agency with me this morning. I won the agreement. And maybe we're going to go under contract this afternoon on a house that we find. And our goal closing date is still July 28th. And I know they're going conventional. Then I can fill those details in and click save. Okay. All right. Any questions? Guys are so quiet. All right. So buyer profile. All this shows is if they have an account with your agent website, which we're going to be looking at tomorrow, or your mobile app. The cool thing about it is our agent website and our mobile app have a guide for a client to look through. So you can see on their buyer's guide, they're on step 8 of 10. From here, I can click manage the guide. So if I know that we got a home warranty, I can check it off and save the changes. Okay. So that's what all this is for. If you're not using that stuff, then you can disregard the buyer profile. I'm going to go to my documents tab now. Okay. And we're going to do this again, like without all of the commentary in just a second, so that you can see that it really doesn't take that long. I just want for you guys to see what's in here. I think my internet has gone crazy on me. Come on. Y'all, my internet hates me. That's okay. It's going to bring me back to my pipeline and I'll get to show you where you can find them. Maybe. We'll think about it. Oh, sorry, guys. And there I go being impatient. It actually came back. So say you started this opportunity and then you went on your appointment and then you came back later. Let's look at where we would find it since the internet made us have to do something. We'll let it load. There we go. So this was a buyer, right? And we ended up moving them under active and that we were showing, right? So they would be under this column, buyer, active, showing. And this is it down here at the bottom. So that's one way that we could come back and find it. The other way is through the All Opportunities tab. Then we have a whole list of all of the opportunities. So this is where you can see them in a list view. You can filter, you can search if you have a bunch of them in there, which you all will eventually. We know that, right? So you can filter and sort through them that way and just open it up from right there. Okay, and get back to where we were. So let's look at this Documents tab and let's go back to here. So enter the contact, create the opportunity, open the Documents tab. That's where we're at. Okay. You can see that there's nothing here right now. The first thing we want to do is pick a checklist type. Pick a checklist type. So if this person is buying a residential home, I'm going to click residential because that is going to populate the checklist of documents that I need. Okay. So we are currently under a buyer consultation. We're getting the consultation paperwork done. So my working with real estate agents and buyer agency agreement is here. Those are the things that I need to turn in. So this is where I start to get lots of questions. okay? If the document is underlined, and I do manage, if you're watching us on YouTube and you're not one of my agents in Winston-Salem, Greensboro, or Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this will not apply to you. Just throwing that out there. If you are one of my agents, I will come in on July 1st and I will get all of our new documents and upload them here. So if it says working with real estate agents and it's underlined, if you click it and you needed to just print it out, then you can print it out from here. There's a print button in the upper right corner. I will update all of the forms when they get updated. Okay. So if you just need to print a hard copy, that's where you do it. If you want to get signatures done electronically, whether it's in Dotloop or Docusign, you're going to come up here to this button and click Start a Transaction. Okay, so before I go any further, I want to reiterate what I just said. If it is underlined, there's a blank copy there that I have uploaded for you. And you can print it out if you need a hard copy, or you can download it if you need to. If you want to get electronic signatures done, you're going to come into the upper right corner and click Start a Transaction. If you're a Docusign user, you're going to choose Docusign. If you're a Dotloop user, you're going to choose Dotloop. But as I mentioned, I'm not going to actually go into e-signing until the second half of the class. But I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Can I get a yes in the chat or a digital thumbs up that you guys heard me? Anthony's got a yes. No one else is listening to us, Anthony. Oh, Patrick, Rodrigo. Okay, there we go. Good. Whew. Y'all are making me sweat here. All right. So we're not going to actually do that right now, but I wanted to show you that is how you get to your Docusign and Dotloop. Okay. So I want to put this out there. The only thing you're using Docusign and Dotloop for, unless you're on a team that specifically is doing something different. If you're just an agent at KW, the only thing you're using Docusign or Dotloop for is getting the signatures on your documents, getting the documents and getting the signatures. And that's it. Everything else is done in Command. Your compliance officers do not see your Dotloops. Your compliance officers that check your paperwork do not see your Docusign. They don't go into that system. You are going into that system to get signatures. Then you're going to take that completed copy and put it in Command. Okay. So I want to make sure that I drive that home for you. So we're going to pick that checklist type. We now have our checklist here. So I need to upload my signed copy of the Working with Real Estate Agents to the right of the thing that says Working with Real Estate Agents. This is your digital checklist. Your buyer agency agreement, you need to upload it right here to the right. Once you have done those two things, I don't care if you got it signed in Dotloop, Docusign, in ink, if you use zip forms, don't care. Doesn't matter where you got it signed, as long as it's the correct version of the document. Remember, we get new documents July 1st. As long as it's the correct version of the document and it is fully executed, you're going to put the final copy next to its placeholder. Okay. And then this button that says Submit to MC will light up. And you'll be able to click it to turn those documents in to your market center. Okay. All good. I'm going to change the name of this so that I know that this is June Boot Camp. Because we're going to come out of this opportunity. We're going to come back to it later to do the signing portion. And that way I know which one it is, because I have a lot of tests in here. Okay, because I want to show you guys one that I have already. Bear with me one second. So we're going to turn in our documents to compliance. Let me close some of this other stuff out. And thought I had, yeah, okay, here we go. Compliance app. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Okay, here we go. So if compliance returns your compliance, if you turn in your documents and something's wrong, you're going to get a command notification and you're going to get an email from compliance app, no reply at systems.kw.com, that tells you the name of the opportunity and that your compliance folder has gotten returned. Okay, it's going to say, hello, got returned. Please review, update, and resubmit the new documents once your changes have been made. And it's going to show you a little summary. My working with real estate agents got returned and my buyer agency agreement got returned. So, you're not going to be sitting at your computer the whole time. You're going to get those documents signed. You're going to turn them in. You're going to go off and show some more houses. So later, because we're going to be time blocking, when you come back to check on command, you're going to say, oh, okay, this stuff got returned. Let me see why. Then you'll just be able to click view opportunity. It's going to take you directly to that transaction in command. If it's been a while since you've been in command, it's going to make you log in. I don't think it will make me, since I've currently logged in. It should just take me straight there. Okay. And now you're going to see that these got returned and why they got returned. So there's a little chat bubble. Please fill out the attach and fill out a signed copy and attach it, because this was a fake one, obviously. I just got them to return it to me. Okay. So if something's wrong with it, it's going to tell you in a chat bubble what's wrong with it. Okay. You just hover over the top of it. You're going to go, oh, crud, I forgot to check that box on page 3, right? Whatever it is. You're going to come over to the right and click your 3 dots and you're going to click update. Why are you re-uploading this document? I missed the checkbox on dual agency, for example, right? Where are you uploading it from? If you got it signed in ink, you're going to upload it from your computer. If you got it signed digitally, you're going to have it connected to that account and you're going to be able to pull it in from the e-signature account of your choice between Docusign and Dotloop. Okay. So this is what you're looking out for. In order for you to get paid at KW, you got to turn all your documents in and you have to request your offer and commission. And I'm going to show you how to do that before we take a break. Okay. So now, say I turn this in and these both got approved. Then I'm going to move into under contract. I'm not going to have to deal with my consultation folder anymore. My buyer agency agreement, my working with real estate agents documents are approved. I'm done with that folder. I just now need to work in my under contract folder. So I need to go to the MLS and I need to get a copy of the listing from the MLS. I need to turn in my signed offer to purchase and contract. I need to turn in my receipt of monies. Some people end up getting a receipt of money signed on 2 separate pages. That's why there is conditionally a separate page, right? Anything that I've put conditional on, it gave you, if you hover over the I, it gives you a note, right? So if you have separate signature pages for due diligence and earnest money, here is a spot for you to upload the second page. Okay. Here's the residential property disclosure form. It needs to be fully executed. Why is it conditional? Because if this was a foreclosure, there isn't one. If it has one, you must turn it in. Same thing with mineral oil and gas rights. It's conditional because If it was a foreclosure, you don't need to turn it in. Lead-based paint, if it wasn't built prior to 1978, then you don't need to turn it in. But if it was, then you do. Does that make sense to everybody? So what's required is going to say that it's required. What's conditional is going to say that it's conditional, and it's going to have a note. Okay. And so if you're in a different market center than Winston-Salem, your checklist might not look exactly like this. I did not set up the checklist for Greensboro or Chapel Hill. If you have a question about those checklists, you're going to go to your MCA or your broker in charge of that market center. If you're in Winston-Salem, you can ask me a question because I did set them up. Okay. About the documents themselves. I mean, you're always welcome to ask me a question about command, but about the documents themselves, my license is only in one office. So that's the only one that I know the forms that are required. Okay. So then you'll upload all of your documents here and turn them in. If you're like, man, I'm not sure if I did this correctly and I need to ask someone a question, you can click this little add comment button and you can click the @ symbol, and whoever's on leadership in your office is going to show up here. In this particular office, Stephen and Amanda check our compliance. So I can @ symbol Stephen and Amanda and say, hey, I am turning this in, but I wanted to make sure that XYZ looks correct. Right? We can ask them a question. That's going to ding them and they're going to be able to see that. Okay. So you can ask a question with the add a comment button. And then hopefully all of this gets approved. And when you get to closing day, all you have to do is turn in the closed MLS sheet, your closing disclosure, your professional services disclosure. And if there was a referral, then those documents. So your goal is to turn it in along the way as you go. Do not wait until closing and then turn everything in at one time. Because especially at this time of year, this is imperative that you listen to me. Our forms will change over in July. Okay. Different broker in charges give different grace periods, but North Carolina itself has its own grace period that is law. Okay. So if you wait until July 30th or August 7th and you turn in some documents that are not correct and it's already closed and funded and your buyers have the keys or your sellers have moved out, and then you have to go back to them and go, oh, I'm so sorry, but I got the wrong form signed. Can you re-sign all these forms for me? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to make that call to their clients. Your clients don't want to have to come back and re-sign something that they've already closed on. So it is super important that you turn your documents in as you go and get them approved. Okay. I cannot stress that to you guys enough. I want you guys to get paid quickly, right? So the best thing for you to do is turn your documents in as you go, make sure that they're correct, ask questions, right? Does anybody have any questions on what we just talked about? Because it's super important. This is by far and away the most important day of this whole week. Okay. Nothing? Each time we upload a document, we should be sending it into the market center each time. So Anthony, what's more than likely going to happen when you go meet with a buyer, right? And you have your buyer consultation, you're like, this is working with real estate agents. This is the buyer agency agreement. And you talk about them and you get them signed, then you can go ahead and turn them both in together. Then that folder is done, right? So then when you go to make an offer on a house, you got the MLS sheet because you just go into the MLS and save the PDF of it. You write your offer and get it signed and you're waiting for it to come back from the seller. In the meantime, your client has already signed the residential property disclosure, mineral oil and gas rights, and lead-based paint if it exists. You're getting everything kind of signed at the same time. So if you miss one thing or something, go ahead and turn everything else in. Leave a note. Hey, I forgot to get the affiliated business disclosure signed, but I'm getting that. here are the rest of my documents, right? I'll be back to you with this one. I know it's missing, it's coming, right? And then yes, when you got the new document signed, you would just continue to turn that in. So each time that you add a new document, I'll show you. I'm just going to grab a document from my computer. Maybe. Where is it? There. Okay. I know I have an MLS sheet in here. Right. So if I upload a document there, then that button's going to light up and I'm going to be able to submit it. Okay. So if I had turned this in and everything was green, but it said that, you know, my page 15 receipt of monies was missing, then I would be able to add that at that point and then submit that to the market center as well. So get it in the hands of those compliance officers. Get it in their hands. Okay. And it is okay to ask questions. So if you're like, I'm not sure if I did this right, ask someone, right? Put it in your company's Facebook group. Hey, I have a question about the buyer agency agreement. Who can answer it? Or call your broker in charge. I don't know. I only know my broker in charge's schedule. So, you know, if you're in a different market center than Winston-Salem, send them a text, send them an email, ask. These are documents. These are legal documents, right? You're helping somebody with the biggest investment of their life, more than likely. So make sure that you're doing them justice. You're doing your due diligence. You're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, right? We have a super important job. It's a fun job. It comes with a lot of responsibility. And I want to make sure that you guys know how to get it done and how to get yourself paid. Okay. So are there any more questions on the compliance piece? That doesn't mean you can't ask questions next time that you're doing a transaction. But for right now, are there any more questions on these compliance pieces? Good. Going once, going twice. Sold. Okay. So let's go back to here. Workflow. We entered the contact. We created the opportunity. We went to the documents tab and picked a checklist type. If we're using Docusign, we're going to click that start a transaction button. We're going to look at that in the second half of the class. We got to step 4. We have added our documents wherever they came from. We've added them next to their placeholder. North Carolina Real Estate Commission law. If you got the document signed, it is supposed to be in the hands of your broker in charge within 72 hours. Okay, that's not Keller Williams law. That is the fact that we live in North Carolina and the North Carolina Real Estate Commission says so. Okay. Questions on that? All right. So like I said, you have to turn in your documents. You've got 2 things to get paid. Turn in your documents. We looked at that. Now we need to do our commissions tab. Okay. So I'm going to go to, I'm just going to open this one up. So let's say I've turned all my documents in. They are all green. They say that they're approved. I've done my job. Everything looks great. I'm now going to come in here. Hold on one second. Let me get rid of this one. Of course, I opened one that I'd already done it on. Bear with me, y'all. It's that day today. Okay. We're going to move into our offers and commissions tab. Okay. So turn our documents in. We've gone under contract. We're doing the things we're supposed to do. Once we have gone into due diligence and we're moving towards going into pending, we need to come in here and add our offer and get our commissions going. Okay. So remember the past, adding our documents and turning them in. Now we're going in to create an offer, accept the offer, and manage our commissions tab. Okay. So I'm going to add a new offer. This is for a buyer and a seller. It doesn't matter which one it is, you're adding an offer. Okay. So your initial offer, that's what it's laid out as being called. You can change it to whatever you want. You know, the Perry offer accepted, whatever you want it to be called. You're going to create the offer. Okay. When did you make the offer? If it was today, then pick today. When is it set to close? We said the 28th earlier, okay? We need to add the property address. You can also select it from the KWLS, the Keller Williams listing system. If it's your listing, it's going to show up right here because it says show only my listings right now. These are just fake listings, okay? If it's your buyer and it is not your listing, then you need to change this to all listings and you need to search for that listing, okay? Whatever it may be. See if I can even find something. Ooh, that house is pretty. Hold on, let me pop into the MLS. I want to pick a KW listing so that you guys can see what it will do. My office active listings. Pick something good. I think we said we were 350. Janesville, Winston-Salem. I don't want commercial or land. No. Yes. Okay. Who is this? Thank you, Sue Schultz, for borrowing your listing at 213 Pilot Bluff Drive in King. Okay. So if we made this offer on Sue's listing, then we're going to search for that address. Click search. And Sue was the listing agent, and there it is. I can select it. So now my property is filled in, right? KWLS is the Keller Williams listing system. Quick question on the seller side, if we receive multiple offers. Anthony, that is a great question. No, you do not have to enter multiple offers. You only have to enter the one that you accept. And I'm going to show you this here in a second. If, Anthony, I think you said you had been in here in real estate for a while. If you've ever been in a multiple offer situation and had to make yourself a spreadsheet, send it to the seller, to da 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 da. If you add all of the offers in here, this will make you a spreadsheet. And you can send it to the sellers. So do you have to? No. But if you want to, and you want to have that spreadsheet, I'll show you one here in a minute so you can see what it looks like. Great question. All right, so we've picked our address, we've picked our property from the Keller Williams listing system. This page is done. We're going to move forward to parties. Keep in mind, this is a buyer, okay? So for a buyer, this is just me personally, we can be as detailed as we want. We have to fill in anything that has an asterisk, okay? So like the seller's name, we have to fill it in. So you can look on the MLS sheet and get the seller's name and then, say it was Susan Smith or whoever it is, right? I'm just making up a name. I can't type either. There we go. So I can just fill in the seller's name. Nothing else has an asterisk, so I don't have to fill it in, okay? Same for my buyer. It knew who my buyer was because it was in command. It knew that I was the agent representing that buyer because it was in command. And it knew that Sue Schultz was the agent representing that seller because I added it from the Keller Williams listing system and it knows that Sue is the agent. If I had not done it, if I had just typed in the address, I would need to add the agent's name under associate name. Okay? Questions on that? Everybody good? Nothing in the chat? Cool. Move forward to terms. All that matters is that the total sales price ends up in this box. So you can be as detailed as you want. If you know that they put down $100,000 in cash and they finance $250,000, then you can do that to come up with your purchase price of $350,000. If you're like, I don't remember, Monica, I don't remember exactly what they did. That's okay. You can just go all $350,000 right here in finance. As long as the full sales price is in there, that's what matters because that's what's going to calculate your commission. Questions on that? Good. Nothing in the chat. Good. Okay. Earnest money amount. It's up to you if you want to put this in. It's not required. So maybe it was $3,000. Then I can put it in. Option fee means due diligence. I know that there have been some crazy due diligence fees right now. I don't even know what they are, but it's insane to me because my due diligence used to be like $200 because I was around when due diligence first became a thing. And that's usually what we did. It's about $200. Okay, so I'm going to say, $18,000 or whatever craziness y'all have been writing in your offers. But option fee is the same as due diligence. Termination option, that's the due diligence period. Again, not required, but if you want to add it, you put it in by days, not date. So if it's a 21-day due diligence, then you put that in there. Seller will contribute this amount to a residential service contract. That means seller will give you $700 for a home warranty. That's what that's for. Or seller will contribute this much to settlement costs, closing costs, which neither one of those I think anyone gets to ask for nowadays, but it'll come back. Trust, it will come back. Okay, so any questions on entering the terms of the offer? Nothing? Good. Agent analysis. This is where multiple offers on your listing really shines because you can say pros, cash, cons, less than asking, pros, quick close, or maybe that's a con because they needed to stay there longer. So you can lay out the different things on a multiple offer situation. But again, this is for a buyer. So I don't need to do that. I don't need to add anything here because there's no red asterisks, right? So I can just hit save. So now I have my offer here. Again, if this was a seller, you can see you could have like all 5 of your multiple offers laid out right here. And I will show you one where I did make multiple offers here in a minute so you guys can see what it looks like. But there you go. So we've added our offer. Okay, we've added our offer. Now we need to click accept on our offer. Any questions? Everybody good? You guys are quiet. Okay. All right, so we're going to accept our offer. So now that I've accepted the offer, I can click manage commission. Okay. Now that I've clicked manage commission, you can see a complete breakdown of what my commission would be on this. Okay. Sales price of $350 with a commission rate of 3% equals a total gross commission of $10,500. Here's my contract date. Here's my closing date. Over here on the right is a summary of my commission, right? It's showing you that I have to pay this much to my office. What makes up this amount? $630 in royalty, $31.50 towards my company commission or my cap, okay, which nets me $6,720, right? So as an individual agent, there's no referral on this. I'm not helping to pay for any deductions or any of that kind of stuff. I would be done. I don't need to adjust anything. All the math got done for me. I don't need to do anything. I can just click submit my commission. Okay, so this is the second thing that you have to do to get paid. 1, turn in your compliance documents and make sure they're all approved. 2, enter an offer, have it accepted, submit it to the market center. If you needed to edit anything about this, if you were splitting this with another agent, if you had a referral, right? If somebody sent you this from another state and you're paying them back a 25% referral, any of those items, if you're in productivity coaching, your market center administrator can help you with editing your agent payment. Okay, you click edit. You have to adjust it dependent upon the scenario, right? There's no one set scenario of things that happens. Okay. So make sure that you ask if you have something else that you need to do, like adding a bonus from a new construction or a concession because you helped the buyer with something, or an inside referral or an outside referral, right? All those different things. Okay. Any questions on that? Good. All right, so if I hit submit, it's going to give me this pop-up. It's going to say, do you want to donate to KW Cares or KW Kids Can? Okay. It's defaulting to $10. I always want to make sure that you guys know you do not have to do this. Okay. You can just say skip donation and submit. Okay. And if you don't want to have to see this pop up every time, you can click this nifty little checkbox down here that says apply this same donation to all of my future commissions. And if I check that box and then click other, I could put 0, other, 0. And then it would just always default to 0. So you wouldn't have to do it every single time. Or maybe you're like, you know what, I'm just getting started and I can't really do a lot right now, which is totally cool. And I want to give $1 every time. Then I could put $1 in there and I could apply that to all of my future commissions and confirm the donate and submit. And then maybe in a year, you're really doing well and you're like, hey, I can bump that up to $2 or $5 or whatever. Then you can always go back into your settings and adjust this. But if you don't want to have to see this pop up every time, you can click other and then apply the same donation to all of my future commissions. Does anybody have a question on that? Can I get a digital thumbs up or yes, I hear you. No, I don't have any questions in the chat. Anything to make sure that you guys are with me. Good. Somebody? Anybody? Okay, Patrick's good. Good. Okay. Cool deal. All right. So just remember, pick your correct market center, right? Because everybody's is a little bit different. The way that your MCAs want stuff to be done. So KW Elite is Winston-Salem, KW1 is Greensboro, KW United is Chapel Hill. Right? All good? Stay on the workflow. All right, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to come back. I'm going to do a transaction from start to finish using Docusign and show you guys how that works. We're going to take 5 minutes. I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to pause the recording. Y'all go get some coffee. I'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, so let's do a whole transaction here. So remember, follow your path, enter your contact. We're not going to do that part. We did that yesterday. We're going to come here into our opportunities. We're going to create an opportunity. Okay. We're going to pick a buyer and we're going to pick our client like so. I'm just going to pick one for the sake of time. We're going to have our opportunity name. We're going to say that this is actually Command Bootcamp June walkthrough. So I know what it is. We can add our tags. We can add our commission rate. We're going to make this an active client that's showing right now. And we're going to create the opportunity. Okay. We're going to move into our documents tab. We're going to pick our checklist type from the left. The reason this is so important when you're using Docusign is if it has a DS next to it on the left, when you start the transaction in Docusign, it is actually going to add the documents to Docusign for you. So anything that has that teal DS are things that I know you're going to need. So it's going to go ahead and add those to Docusign. Any questions on this piece? Everybody good? Checking the chat. Cool deal. All right, I'm going to click start a transaction and go to Docusign. This is going to open a Docusign window. If it does not open a Docusign window like it is currently doing on my screen, it is almost certain that it's because you have a pop-up blocker enabled on your computer. Okay, So if that's the case, you're going to see up here in your URL bar over on the right, usually a little red X. It's showing you that there was a pop-up blocker. You're going to turn it off and always allow pop-ups from Docusign. Okay, any questions on that? Everybody good? Good deal. All right, so we're going to log into Docusign. And now you're going to see, once I'm in Docusign, this is the same for .loop. If you're still watching and you're a .loop user, you're going to start the transaction. You're just going to start it in .loop. But you're going to see they're now connected. Command BootCamp June walkthrough. Same thing here. Command BootCamp June walkthrough, right? They're connected together. And like I said, the documents that were in command are now here in Docusign for you. I did not add lead-based paint to the listing because I don't always know if it's going to be built before 1978. So I wanted to show you guys, yes, most of the forms are going to flow in for you. If you need some additional form, all you need to do is come in the upper right and click the blue add button, choose Docusign Forms, okay? And you're going to have some libraries. You won't see as many as me because I'm in 3 offices. You're only going to see your office's forms. So KW Realty Elite, you're going to see KWRE buyer forms, KWRE listing forms, KWRE vacant land. Greensboro, you're going to see listing packet residential and buyer packet residential. And Keller Williams Chapel Hill, Keller Williams United, you're going to have all those other ones there. Under your libraries, if you're in Winston-Salem, you're going to have 994. Greensboro is going to have 509. Chapel Hill is going to have 685. All of us should have NCAR, the North Carolina Association of Realtors. If you're in Winston-Salem or Greensboro, or you're a Chapel Hill agent that has Triad MLS, you will see the Triad MLS forms. If you're one that has Triangle MLS, you're going to see that. If you have an additional affiliation with Charlotte's MLS Canopy, then you're going to see that. You're only going to see the ones that you have affiliations with. Okay, so any questions there? Good? All right. So these little groups up here, this is just where your market center has pared stuff down for you. So for example, buyer forms. It's just the offer exclusive buyer agency working with real estate agents, the Q&As, FHA financing addendum, right? Due diligence request and agreement when you need to get repairs. Everything is pared down for you just for stuff that most buyers are going to need. Same with listing forms, pared down. If you come down to NCAR, you're going to have all North Carolina Real Estate Commission forms, all of them. Okay, you can search if you're looking for something specific. Okay, any questions on that? Nothing in the chat. Awesome. Okay, so I teach a class called Docusign Tips, Tricks, and Time Savers. I teach it on a market center level. I'm also going to begin teaching that for Carolina Educational Services as well, if your office has a subscription to that. And in that class, I teach you guys how to set up templates and how to have some quick time saving tips. We've covered quite a few of them today. Picking your checklist type first, adding details in command. Those are all things that will save you time in Docusign. So check out that video on my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'll also be holding classes on setting up templates when our new templates roll out in July, because you will need to set up templates each year when we get new forms. Okay, but say we already had those templates, I can right click my working with real estate agent, not that one, buyer agency agreement, and I can apply my form template by clicking the bubble and clicking apply. I can apply my form template here by clicking the button and saying, you know, I'm going to do, you can set up several templates for the same document if you have different things that apply to different forms. Right? So any templates you've set up, this is where you would add them to your documents. Okay. Now, we are currently under the Documents tab. The client's name came in from command. My name came in from command. anything that was on my templates just got applied to my forms. So the thing I'm going to do now is open my form and fill in any text. Okay, so I'm going to open my working with real estate agents. I'm going to confirm that everything is done. So for my office, I'm supposed to check all of these. You can see my stuff is already filled in here. Everything else, I'm good. I'm going to save and close. Okay. Now I'm going to open my exclusive buyer agency agreement. I'm going to let this load. We're going to fill in any text here in Docusign that we need. So here's my client name, Dakota. Here's my brokerage name. I need to fill in today's date because today is when we're signing this buyer agency agreement. This residential checkbox came from my template. I can say wherever this property is located. This came in from my template. When is it beginning? Today, 06/14/2022. When does it end? Or yeah, it's beginning 6/14/2022. It's for one property and it's going to expire 12/31/2022. Okay. This came from my template because this is the amount of commission that I, Monica Perry, the real estate agent, expect to receive on a transaction. You can put what you expect to receive on your transaction in there. If you have a question on it, speak with your broker in charge. They have the answer. Okay. For myself personally, I expect to get 3% on the price of a resale, 2.5% on the purchase price of a new construction, and 5% of the purchase price on land. Okay, so that's what I have in there. I do not do non-refundable retainer fees personally. So I don't do that. I don't need that there. 45 days is my magic number of days here. So we're going to slide through these documents. This came from my template because I always do give them a sample copy of an offer to purchase. I gave my questions and answers on home inspections, and they're acknowledging a copy of the professional services disclosure. I know I'm going to give them those, so I had those checked off in my template. Okay. I don't do home warranties. So there we go. I don't take kickbacks off of home warranties, shall I say. This is where initials go. We're not handling initials under the documents tab, text only. Dual agency compensation is just double what was up above, right? So that would be 6% of purchase price of resale. You could fill this into your template too, right? So we're going to keep sliding through. You can see my client's name is in there. Any information I had on him in command came in. My information, including my company's address, my license number, that came from a combination of my template and command. Okay. So any questions on this? We're just filling in the text. Checking the chat. Don't see anything. Good deal. I'm going to save this one and close. Okay. So let's talk about disclosures. Obviously, you would do the same thing on the offer to purchase. You would open it, fill in the correct stuff that you need to fill in for it, as well as any of these other forms. Okay. But in the interest of time, I want us to get this done. So let's say that we're sticking with that listing. My office active listings. I'm just going to redo that same one. And it was in that 350. It was this one. So let's say this is the house we're making the offer on, and I need to get my disclosure signed. Okay. The disclosures are usually hanging out here in the MLS. So I'm going to click on those disclosures. There's residential owners. Click. Okay. I'm going to download it to my computer and save it. Right? So wherever you want to put it, on your computer, you're going to save that document. So I've got that disclosure. And I'm going to take the mineral oil and gas rights. And I'm going to save that to my computer. And I'm going to get that's the plat. I don't need that. I mean, I need it to give to my clients, but I don't need to get it signed. So I would download those and save them as well and make sure that my client had them. Any questions on where I went to get the disclosures? If the agent doesn't have them uploaded into the MLS, you need to email whoever the listing agent is and ask them for the disclosures. Good deal? No questions in the chat? Awesome. All right. So now I'm going to add those forms for my computer, or since they're down here at the bottom, I can just drag and drop them up. Okay. Well, normally, there it comes. I was like, hello. And that one. Okay. So now I have all of the forms ready to go that I need to get signed. Everybody good? Any questions? I get more questions on Docusign and signatures and opportunities than I do on anything else. So I want to make sure everybody is good. Can I get a good, heard, something in the chat that you guys are good? I'm going to wait until I see some more people because paperwork's important, y'all. Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else? I know Ant's mobile right now. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys are getting this stuff because it's important. All right. So now we're going to get our working with real estate agent signed. We're going to get our exclusive buyer agency agreement signed. We're going to get our offer to purchase signed. We need to get these disclosures signed. So anything that we're going to get signed today in this time, we're going to click the checkbox. So maybe I'm saving professional services disclosures until I order those particular vendors, right? So whatever I'm actually going to get signed, I'm clicking the check boxes. Now I'm going to click this pin up here on my toolbar that says create envelope. This is how I get signatures. You have to apply the template to the docs you added from the MLS. If you have a template set up, Patrick, you can. Those templates are a little bit different and they get applied at a different time. More than likely, you're just going to drag and drop over the signatures, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that here in just a sec. The forms that came from Docusign are actually like formatted to be filled in. The disclosures that came from the MLS are just flat PDFs that don't have any fields. So I'll show you how those work. So from here, I always like to rename my envelope so that I know what it is. So this is the Perry offer on 123 Main Street. It's WWREA, working with real estate agents, buyer agency agreement, offer to purchase, and NCRPD and MOG. That way, if I get multiple things signed in conjunction with this transaction, I know what documents are in this envelope. Else you just end up with a bunch of stuff that says, please Docusign, and you don't know what's inside. Okay. You can also reorder these forms. So my personal preference when I'm getting things signed is I want them to sign this working with real estate agents first. Then I want them to sign the exclusive buyer agency agreement, then the offer, then the residential property, then the mineral oil and gas. So I was able to grab, pick up, and slide into the order that I want. By default, it is trying to alphabetize. Good? All right. So this is super important. I'm going to repeat it. This is super duper duper important. When you're adding recipients to your envelope, adding recipients to your envelope. Please choose pre-tagged roles, not room participants, not email addresses. If you are getting Docusign forms signed, the ones that say form on them, use pre-tagged roles. This pop-up block is going to come up. I'm not getting the sellers to sign this. I'm working with buyer one because I only have one buyer. He needs to sign it. Who is it? It's Dakota. I don't have a buyer two. I don't have a buyer entity or a seller entity. I'm not getting the listing agent to sign anything. I'm not having the escrow agent sign anything right now. I am the buyer's agent and I need to sign it. So that's me. Do I have any questions on this? Because this is super important. Unless you're a fan of dragging and dropping thousands of little initial boxes, use pre-tagged roles. Everybody good? All right. So we're going to add selected. So now buyer one is signing and the buyer agent is signing. And I'm going to say, please DocuSign your buyer paperwork. Offer and disclosures. This is an email that's going to come to the client, right? Hey, Dakota, so excited. Whatever you want your email to say. Everybody good? Okay, I'm going to click next in the upper right corner. This is going to take me into my envelope preview. And we have a few things to address here. The good thing is the pre-tagged roles on anything that was a form put our signatures and initials where they needed to go. Okay. We had already done all of the text in our documents tab. That part is done. You're going to see in the upper left corner that Dakota has a little blue dot next to him and I have a gold dot next to me as the agent. In my preview pane on the right, we are currently previewing the working with real estate agents, and there is a blue like signature sticker that you would have on a physical document, only blue, which is Dakota. And that is because only Dakota is signing this document. You see his signature is there, his date is there. Cool. Preview the exclusive buyer agency. We are both signing that. So there's a gold and a blue tab. And as I scroll down, his initials, my initials. His initials, my initials. Everything is filled in. Our boxes are there for signatures. Page 4, dual agency. I see documents get returned for this all the time. Please notice these are hollow. These are solid colored. That is because these initial boxes are optional. Okay. So if you have not done a good job speaking with your client, they're going to have no idea which one of these they are supposed to sign. Not that any of you would do that. And even if you did, they still might not know which one of these to sign. Plus, because they are not required fields, I want to show you a preview of what will happen when your client receives this form. So this is true of page 4 of the buyer agency agreement. This is also true of a few pages in our exclusive right to sell listing agreement. I'm going to go into preview mode here in the upper right corner. And let's see what my client Dakota would see when he receives this. He's going to be like, okay, I've got to start. Cool. Start. All right, I got to sign that. Page 1 of buyer agency, I need to sign it. Page 2, initial, 3, initial, whoop. It took them right over the top of those optional initials. So one of a few things are going to happen. If you have somebody who moves really fast like me, I'm not even going to know that those were there. I'm not going to see them. I'm going to keep signing and get all the way through this document. You're going to get it back. It's not going to have initials next to any of these options, right? Second thing that might happen, you might have a super high C, somebody that's really detail oriented. They're going to read every single line of this and they're going to get down here and go, huh, firm to act as dual agent representing both of them. I don't want people to represent the buyer and the seller. They might think that that means that I'm representing both people, but I'm not. My firm is, but Sue is the listing agent. I am the buyer's agent. It's still dual agency though, because it's out of my market center, right? So we have to have dual agency allowance or we can't have the transaction, okay? If they initial buyer desires exclusive representation at all time and does not authorize the firm to act in the capacity of a dual agent, then I wouldn't be able to make this offer, okay? And it depends on your market center whether they have the designated agent option. Again, that is a question for your broker in charge. So whether they sign the wrong one, they sign all three, which they could, or they don't sign any of them because they don't see them like I would, right? It's still going to be wrong and you're going to have to get it fixed. And nobody wants to have to do that, okay? Nobody wants to have to do that. So instead of doing that to yourself and your client, already have had this discussion and say, you know, Mr. Buyer, I'm so looking forward to helping you. I just wanted to let you know that my office lists more property in this area than any other real estate firm. So there's a high likelihood that I might be showing you a listing by an agent from my office. Is that okay with you? If yes, we are going to initial for dual agency on your buyer agency agreement. And most buyers are going to be like, cool, because I don't want to miss out on properties. Okay. So then you're going to click this dual agency initial. You're going to move over here to the right-hand side and click required. It is now solid like the rest. We're just going to get rid of these. We've already had that discussion. So I'm going to highlight it and I can click delete on my keyboard, or I can click delete over here on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm just going to get rid of those initials that are extraneous. I'm going to go back into preview so you can see what will happen now. I'm going to click start. He signs. Page 1, 2, 3, boom, straight to dual agency. It's very clear that that's where he needs to sign it, and then he can continue to make his way through the documents. Does anybody have any questions on that? Again, that is page 4 of your buyer agency agreement. Page 4. Okay, cool. So we're going to keep going. Initials, signatures, perfect. My signature, perfect. Everything looks great. I'm down here to my offer, his initials, because he's the only one signing the offer until that gets into the seller's hands, right? I'm going to keep sliding through. I can also use this preview window. I want to get us down into this residential property disclosure. Remember, we took that out of the MLS. We saved it to our computer. It's already signed by the seller. And now I need it to get signed by my client. So I'm going to come over here to the left. I'm Dakota. It's blue. That's where I want to be. I'm going to grab that signature and drop it. I'm going to grab this date and drop it. I'm going to move down to page 2. I'm going to grab his initial and drop it. And I'm going to grab the date and drop that there. I'm going to keep sliding through and doing that until I am done with everywhere that my client needs to sign this disclosure. Does anybody have any questions on this? If we had not used pre-tag roles, this is what you would have been doing on all of those previous pages as well. So I'll show you guys one other cool thing. We can grab this initial. Looks a little bit big for the amount of space that I have right here. I can make this smaller. And now every initial I grab is going to be resized to that same size. But even better, I can right click and copy this initial and I can paste the location and just keep doing that all the way down so I don't have to keep going to the left and dragging. Paste the location, paste the location. If you don't paste the location and just paste, it goes all over the place. And now I'm going to come back to the left, grab his signature, drop it, grab his date, drop it, and I'm at the end of my forms. Okay, so I've got my form from Docusign, filled everything in for me. The disclosures I downloaded from the MLS, I needed to drag and drop my initials onto. Does anybody have any questions? Going once, going twice. I'm going to click send so you guys can see what will happen here. Since I do need to sign as the agent on the buyer agency agreement, it's going to say that it needs my signature. I'm going to click it to open it. I'm going to click sign. Okay. I click continue. I'm going to start. And I'm just going to sign these 7 pages of the buyer agency agreement. Done. I'm going to click finish. That was all I needed to sign as the agent. In the meantime, my client received an email from me. Bear with me. Come on, internet. Be kind. Okay. And here we go. So the client, Dakota, received, please DocuSign your buyer paperwork offer and disclosures. Remember, we renamed it so he would know what it said. This was our little email that we typed to him down at the bottom. He is going to click review documents. And it's going to look like this. He's going to click continue. He's going to click start. And he's going to start signing all of the places that he needs to sign. Take note of page 4. Took him straight to dual agency, what we wanted. Sign, sign, sign. Right, he's signing his offer. And this is just a quick little DocuSign tutorial, guys. I do full classes on DocuSign, so be on the lookout for those. I mainly want to get you some signed documents so you can see what happens next. Right, so he needs to sign all these initials. And then I'm going to finish. Good? Any questions? Check my chat. Nothing there. Good. All right, cool. So he is finished. I am finished. I'm going to come back. I'm going to need to sign out because it made me log in as him. You guys probably wouldn't be just sitting there, right? You would have signed and then waited for him to sign and been like, okay, cool. You get emails along the way that say he opened it, he viewed it, he signed it. Okay. So I'll log in here. As long as you started the transaction in Command, by the way, you can always go straight to DocuSign thereafter if you need to work on getting signatures. Just remember, it is not DocuSign.com. It is rooms.docusign.com or realestate.docusign.com. Either one of those will take you to DocuSign Rooms, which is where you want to be. That's what's connected to Command. Okay. So here's that one that we just got signed. And now you're going to see I'm back in my Documents tab. I'm going to have 2 versions of my forms. Here's my offer to purchase form, and here's the one that got signed. Here's my exclusive buyer agency form, and here's the one that got signed, and so on and so forth. You're going to see the signed copies of everything. Okay. That's what we want. We want to see those green signed copies. So now back here where I need to add, earlier we were adding from my computer manually, right? We were browsing for the files on my computer. But now that we have a connected DocuSign room with signed documents, I'm going to change this over to DocuSign. Then I need to select my working folder. And the reason for that is people can create folders here to sort all of this out. Some people create, multiple folders within the DocuSign room. So you have to make sure that you pick the correct folder. If you're only using the one, it's just going to be room docs. That's all that's going to exist. So here's my working with real estate agents. I need to look for the working with real estate agents, and it says it is signed, and click. Now it's there. Buyer agency agreement that's signed, and click. Now it's there. Then I could submit those to the Market Center. Can move into my under contract folder because I did get some of this signed. I need to change this to room documents again. Offer to purchase, there it is, right? Residential property disclosure is here. Mineral, oil, and gas rights is here. Okay. So now I've got those signed documents, and then I need to upload the rest, and then I could submit that folder to the Market Center. So in order to have this connection, you do have to start the transaction in Command. So again, make sure that you're following your path to get paid. Step 1, enter the contact, create the opportunity, go to your Documents tab, pick your checklist type, or else that automatic mapping of the forms won't occur. Then we click Start a Transaction to take us into DocuSign. If we do not see DocuSign pop up, is because we have a pop-up blocker enabled. We go ahead and get all of our signatures done in DocuSign. Then we come back to Command and add our signed documents and turn them into our Market Centers. And then earlier in the class, we looked at creating an offer, accepting it, managing our commissions tab, and turning it in to our Market Center administrator. And if you get all of that done, that is how you get paid, right? So I hope that this helped you guys. We didn't get a chance to look in the app. Again, yesterday, you should have downloaded the Command app on your phone. You can create opportunities on the go. That was a recent release. So as long as your contact is in Command, you can create the opportunity on your mobile device, but you cannot start your paperwork from there yet, right? That's upcoming features. But right now you can at least start the transaction so that you know that it's there when you get back to your desk. Does anybody have any questions? And could you let me know in the chat if this was helpful to you? I have a question on smart plans, but I'll email you. Perfect, Anthony, thank you. Was this helpful to you guys? Because this is what we have to do to get paid. Very helpful, Patrick, good. Nobody else is going to talk to us today. That's all right. I hope that you guys found it helpful nonetheless. If you're watching us on YouTube, I will drop the resources guide into the description box of the YouTube video. Don't forget kwtriadtech.com, kwtriangletech.com for Chapel Hill. The video playlists are now up and live on the left-hand side of that website. You can just click straight through and it will take you into the playlist for the month of June. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at more fun stuff. I know this is not the most fun day, but it's about getting paid. So, we all like to get paid. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at our agent site and the home search app, where you can edit that, where you can change out those pictures, where you can update the guides that we talked about today. So that's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow on Wednesday. Then we're going to do designs and campaigns on Thursday. That's my favorite day personally. And then Friday is kind of a wrap up. We're going to look at all the applets we haven't looked at yet and answer any questions. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.